Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Oregon Village Board. It is Monday, November 16th at 5 p.m. I would like to call the meeting to order and request roll call, please.
Poole.
Here.
Bollig.
Here.
Bretthauer.
Here.
Carpenter. Here. Staten.
Here.
Woodrow.
Here.
Bernier.
Here.
Thank you. Our first item of business, number 3, is the swearing in of Police Officer Kevin Gowan. We will do the oath as that swearing in. We'll do that right up front here, Kevin. I will meet you there in just a second. Turn it on right now. It's on.
It's interesting.
Did they tell you you had to memorize this? They were wrong.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kevin M. Gowan, do solemnly swear that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
I, Kevin Gowan, do solemnly swear that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Wisconsin,
the Constitution and the laws of the state of Wisconsin,
the charter, laws, and ordinances of the Village of Oregon,
the charter, laws, and ordinances of the Village of Oregon,
the rules and regulations of the Village of Oregon Police Department,
the rules and regulations of the Village of Oregon Police Department,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as a sworn officer of the Oregon Police Department,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as a sworn officer of the Oregon Police Department.
I will assume my duties as of November 16th, 2015.
I will assume my duties as of November 16th, 2015.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Welcome aboard. Absolutely. Family, whatever you want. Okay. I'm going to sign these.
Congratulations. Thank you, guys. Congratulations, Officer Gowan.
Congratulations. Thank you guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So whoever you want for pictures.
Tearing up already? We should have some background music for this. Little Hawaii 5-0 or something. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
We need some signatures here. May I have your copy?
Too soft. They're too big.
Cry-eyed Darlene. Start this week. Start
Yeah,
today.
the cookies. Cherries, one track mind, everything's got to do with cookies.
They're like a Santa Claus in here. I'm sure.
Who's that, Liliana? Liliana, she's a big chick. That's what Darlene is.
Congratulations.
You need one.
Everything is huge. Hey Steve, just so it doesn't come as a surprise later when I get up and leave, and just in case somebody says something that offends me, just before I want them to know there's no connection. I do have an appointment that I need to get to, and I'm probably going to leave about 5:30 to get there.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go on to item 4, public appearances. Item A, Jefferson Street parking lot issues. Discussion of ordinance number 15-05. This is an ordinance to amend section 7.025B relating to parking restrictions. The board will not vote on that ordinance at this meeting. And then also a discussion of eliminating a parking stall on the west side of the lot. So, Mr. Grace?
Yes, so, the staff worked on this, with Matt Dragney to prepare the ordinance. Jeff and I walked out there with the police chief and we looked at the parking lot, and this is our recommendation, that we eliminate the one spot, which means that RX will have to then move one of their cars so they can get to the back side of their property if they needed to, but that we also, do better signage with the loading zone area behind the buildings. And that's what I have in the question in the ordinance is if we're gonna do that, does the board want to see a 30 or 15-minute loading zone?
Okay.
So,
So questions, comments, in particular about the 30 or 15-minute loading zone? We do have a recommendation from one downtown business person for a 30-minute loading zone because some trucks service 3 businesses.
Yeah, so first I want to thank you for the work that you did in the packet, pulling all that information together, and for moving this conversation forward. Relative to the 15 or the 30 minutes, I'd be in favor of giving people more time than less, so I'm in favor of 30.
Okay.
There is one more piece of information that I'd like to see if you could get before this does come to the board for a vote, specifically the question of eliminating those parking spaces in the lot. Is it possible for you to walk that portion of RX's lot that empties out onto or 138 there by the railroad bridges, and see if there are any ordinance violations or anything that's currently on the books that they could comply with to clean that area up and have access to their property through there?
so we walked back there, and I did contact one of the businesses in the back there, Recreational Concepts, and they're dealing with an issue. One other issue I'm talking to the police chief about, so we're working on that part of it. Jeff, you felt that driveway that comes off of Jefferson Street really is not,
It's not a real feasible access point in its current condition. It looked sloped, it looked narrow, and we didn't have the exact property boundary of where that embankment and the property would be. I know that they have said that they've brought some vehicles in and out of there, but I'm sure it's been under dry conditions. It's not an ideal spot where you'd want to have a trailer fully loaded with a piece of equipment or materials on it or anything like that.
Can you think of a precedent or maybe a community that you've worked with in the past that's made these sorts of accommodations for a private owner? One of the thoughts that comes to my mind, and I don't know how to relate this any other way but personally, but say for example that I had a dirt driveway that wasn't really very user-friendly. I wasn't able to get my vehicles up and down the dirt driveway for some reason. But I could get it through a public parking lot if we could close off two stalls. It would seem to me that it would be my responsibility as a citizen to invest in clearing my driveway, paving it, gravel, whatever, before going to the community property and asking for basically what amounts to an easement of public property. So I know that this isn't exactly what we're talking about, but can you kind of take me from where my head is to where we are in reality?
Yeah, and it's not an easement. We're not granting any specific easement for it at all. And with the fact that these properties are all owned by the same person, make it this unique situation. I don't believe that the portion back where RX Automotive is has always been under the same ownership of where that driveway, has it been, or?
so in the past, it was different ownerships back there, but now this Paul Lynch owns everything, the 4 houses and everything back there. So over time, Paul's assembled the property.
And so, all that being said, I know what you're saying, and as far as are we responsible, and that's when we evaluated that, we were looking at it and saying, by eliminating one spot and requiring the landowner to put other access that exists on their property, was kind of a nice give and take for this situation. We're not expending any money to develop this access to them. I think this is kind of a good faith effort for maintaining a business. I mean, there's a lot of discussion I know about the businesses that are down there, But this is one of those businesses as well. And so I think we need to be looking at it from that standpoint as well.
I think the loading zone's gonna help, because one thing that I paid attention to after I walked out there with Brian and Jeff is that there's actually more cars being parked behind the buildings than delivery trucks. And so I think if we can try to get those cars out of there by posting it, and again, I'm not trying to make work for the police department, obviously, but I think if we can get some of those cars out of there, I think that will help the flow as well in the driveway back to RX, or just actually into the parking lot.
And my last question, if we do close down a parking lot, the one concern that I had would be that any length of trailer would have enough clearance to be able to actually make that turn, being that now we're gonna create a right-of-way, right, for a vehicle to go through. We're gonna say this is no longer parking, this is now a right-of-way for you to get in and out of RX's parking lot, right?
It would not be an official, it's not anything you're gonna find on a plat map or anything that's a CSM or anything of that area that's gonna call it out as a easement or right-of-way. We have the right as a village to stripe the parking lot however we would like, and to set up the parking arrangement however we would like. And we're just electing to do this, and we're leaving that spot open. We're also encouraging the landowner to leave one spot open on the other side and make any other improvements they need, so that when they do turn in there, that they're not cutting off a car or anything like that that would be, from having a large trailer on it. So you're right, if it was just one spot and that's all they use, I would agree with you, that's a very tight spot, and I don't think anyone would want a tow truck with a vehicle on it to be pulling back there. And that's why we're asking for the landowner to agree to help out with that.
Thanks.
Yep.
Eric?
Two questions. Has the landowner agreed to get rid of one spot on his property?
We haven't, we decided to approach the board
Okay.
first, Eric, and then
All right.
we'll do that. And that's why we're not asking any
Okay.
type of vote tonight.
Okay.
If the board gives us the consensus that they think the ordinance is right, the
Well,
one
I
spot.
think, in the past, he said he won't, and if he won't this time, then that's one reason why I will not vote for this.
Okay.
If he's gonna give up a stall, then fine, yeah,
Okay.
then I'll think about it. Are we also gonna post no parking signs along the grass edge there? Because I've been down here a few times, and there's been cars 2 and 3 deep parked right there also,
Just past the dumpsters.
just past the dumpsters.
Yeah, I know. That, we would have to evaluate looking at some signage there.
Because I can see, we can open up the spot, but if people are gonna park in the grass area there.
That's true. Yeah,
Then
you're
it's
right.
not gonna do any good.
And it's hard for us to put signs up there. We're gonna, like, if we do agree just to get rid of the one parking space, we're gonna really just do the pavement, because we can't think of a good place to put a no
Right.
parking sign.
Right,
It's gonna interfere with, obviously, going through there, plus
Sure.
snow plowing too.
right, okay, just some things to think about.
Yep.
Jerry?
Yes, thanks. I guess my reaction is I like the idea of giving 30 minutes for the loading zone. I think that's ample time when you consider that there are multiple businesses being served. And the other reaction I have is, it's a nice problem to have. Our downtown is vibrant, it's full, so we wouldn't be having this issue if it wasn't for that fact. And I appreciate all the businesses down there, but thanks to the staff, I now know that there are 112 village stalls within walking distance of the downtown businesses. And nowhere else in town do we provide parking for businesses. So I think we've, shown that we support business by the 112 stalls. And that also includes 9 handicap stalls. And when you add the parking in front of the businesses and in front of the businesses across the street and on South Main Street and Elm Street, I think there's a lot of parking downtown. It's just, it's not like a mall where you can pull up right in front of your store and walk in. So I look forward to seeing if, as Jeff and Eric bring up, that if the business owner back there will also assist in helping solve this problem. And I'd be willing to support the elimination, as long as the business owner is willing to reciprocate.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I'd say I agree with what Jerry said. I would also mention that in looking at some online stuff for the Holstein Kitchen the other day, I looked at the reviews, which were quite good, by the way. I did see a response by the owner, and what he said, kind of in the middle of a long paragraph, was getting customers downtown. He said, "Parking is abundant in 3 areas within a 1-minute walk with spaces for more than 120 cars, in addition to the lot behind our building." So that's what one owner feels. So and I mention that in part because I think it's pertinent to our discussion, but also there's stuff on our agenda about what the village has done downtown. There's some sentiment at the last meeting that the village hasn't done enough and could have done more and should do more for the downtown. And I think everyone has to realize there's more to our downtown than just downtown. The downtown certainly is an integral part, and I support it as an integral part. But there's stuff on our agenda which I'll go through quickly for people watching. We've agreed to spend almost $50,000 for a civic campus plan for the next step of downtown. That's a big project. It's exciting to a lot of people. We borrowed over $5 million for downtown improvements, which included the recent paving of Jefferson Street parking lot. So that revitalized downtown. Without that, we wouldn't have a parking problem because the business wouldn't flourish like we do, I don't believe. We removed snow and take care of landscaping the downtown area. And then it lists the parking stalls available, which Mr. Bowling talked about. And quite frankly, and I wish there were several property owners here, and this is not true of all of them, but I think it's time the downtown property owners start to work this stuff out on their own. They need to grow up, act like adults, and get this stuff figured out on their own rather than coming to us, so we have to spend time doing it. We spent 6 months on dumpster issues. I don't think that's necessary for a village board. We have more important issues. And I think it's time that they start to work on those themselves, get it figured out, and make agreements instead of the negative interactions they've had toward each other that only make the situation worse. So that'd be one comment I'd make about it. So, and I agree with Jerry and Eric that if we're going to give up one to access RX Auto, he's going to have to give up one also. And maybe look at his unlicensed cars there too and see if they should stay there. I don't know what the deal is with the auto dealership, but there's several unlicensed cars that clutter up that area too that need to be looked at. That's probably enough of that. Any other comments?
So we'll contact the owner of the property, talk to him about the one space, and then we'll bring the ordinance back for a vote on the 7th.
Okay.
With 30 minutes. And they'll,
Okay.
and actually what Matt's suggestion is, that you don't put the actual minutes in the ordinance, because if you want to change it, you got to bring the ordinance back, so it's just, we'll know the board wants to do 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this issue? Okay, and there were Bailey's, I believe, 22 businesses, 22 downtown affected property owners.
Yeah, Kenny
Yeah.
did that on Friday.
Okay, so there was a lot of information that went out.
Yep.
Anything else from trustees? Okay. So we'll go to item B. This is from November 5th Planning Commission meeting. Conceptual discussion regarding banquet facility at 155 Braun Road. Crystal, and I don't know how to say the last name, I'm sorry. Okay, that was going to be my guess, so
Not a very,
usually I get it wrong. Welcome.
thank you.
Yeah.
So, yes, my name is Crystal. I live in Oregon. Just a little bit about myself. I lived in Oregon for about 10 years.
No, I think he's coming to do it. Yep, hang on.
Okay. So I guess just a little background. About a year ago, I've always been kind of into planning parties, all the details of a party and weddings and such. About a year ago, I started taking part in several weddings, planning them, and events. A few months ago, I just kind of decided that I might want to take it a step farther and open my own facility up where I can actually do the whole event, offer the. Okay, did everybody hear me okay though? Okay. Just kind of make it a whole experience. I've been in the restaurant and hospitality business for a majority of my life. So I've been in restaurant management, the food safety, so we would eventually like to be able to offer catering and such. But we're initially just hoping to be able to open up a banquet facility where somebody could host a retirement party or a wedding reception, a small or a large birthday party, or other events that people would be looking to do. Oregon, because I live in Oregon, I would like to be able to find a location in Oregon to keep it convenient for me and local. So that's why we are looking at that facility, because we feel like it's got a large enough capacity to offer a decent sized room. Just trying to be able to offer something that's larger than, I don't know about many locations in Oregon that offers a space more than 80 to 90 people. So that's kind of my hopes to do with it, and then eventually take it further with the catering. Another idea that we've thought after we would get up and going is kind of trying to offer like a playland facility. I don't know if anybody's familiar with like Legacy Academy in Fitchburg. It's more like for birthday parties. They have swing sets, they have playhouses, they have areas that cater to children's parties as well. And they also offer, say, for example, over winter break, they offer an opportunity for them to like have open gym where kids can go and spend time. My youngest daughter's birthday is in January, so I'm always kind of struggling to where I'm able to plan a birthday party or can't have a bouncy house and things like that. So eventually, we'd also like to be able to offer that as a bonus or another option for parties. So that's kind of the plan. I am aware of the problems that the building has had in the past. I managed Hack's sports page for the last few years, which is probably another reason that I finally kind of just pushed myself, because, well, Hack's is gone. So now I'm like, okay, well, I got to take my next step, and I would like to do this just because it's a hobby and it's a passion of mine, and maybe turn it into something fun. But we also kind of felt the backlash of the issues that were from the facility prior. So I know that there's been issues because we had to deal with the parking issues, and we were constantly chasing people out of the parking lot or picking up the garbage, after their events and stuff like that. So I'm very aware of those problems, and want to kind of assure you that I'm not looking to have the same type of issues. So we would be offering different tiers of facility, decorating, use of the facility. Like to get a structure of different caterers that they would use, just to be able to offer the full service of an event. Any questions for me?
Yeah, we'll see what we have for questions or comments. Discussion?
I noticed that you mentioned using security.
Yes.
How would that work and what situations?
So, and I kind of refer back to my wedding reception. We had my wedding reception at the Fitchburg Community Center. We chose it because a lot of places you go in Madison for a wedding reception, you have to use their on-site catering. And we wanted a place where we could take in our own caterer, because we had J.L. Richards, for example, cater our wedding reception. But because we are the fact that we were going to have beer, we had to have a security guard on the premises after a certain period of time at night, just in the presence, because there was going to be that alcohol factor present. So that's definitely something that we would factor in, because I feel like I was just at a wedding last month, and they brought in, because it was a large size wedding, so they brought in a security guard at 9 o'clock. And I feel like that presence there of having the security there just kind of keeps everybody under control. Because if you're having a wedding reception or some type of party, you don't want issues like that. You don't want to have that kind of disruption at your event. So that would definitely be something that we would require to be used if they're going to have beer. We would be looking nothing alcohol related. It'd be mostly strictly beer, wine. So we've discussed that a little bit too with the village, and what the requirements would be, either the caterer that's being used being licensed, or myself eventually applying for the permit myself.
So the requirement would be from you, not by statute?
No, it would be my requirement.
Well,
Yeah.
I should back up here a little bit. This is considered a conditional use permit, so if the board, says, send it back to planning commission for discussion and recommendation, the village can put whatever conditions within reason, it wants on the business. So if you would say, if the event's gonna have this and this, they're gonna need security, so that'd be part of the condition.
And I just think I personally think that that's a plus, because you don't ever want to have I've been at wedding receptions, and you don't want those problems, and I just think it's a little bit of crowd control. It helps. Any other questions?
So, a comment with a question. First of all, I really appreciate what you're doing. Becoming a small business owner is, like you said, it's a huge step, big investment of time
Yeah.
and money.
It's scary.
And it's scary, but it's good for the community, right?
Right.
Communities are made up of small business owners, so
Right.
I appreciate your courage and your willingness to look at this as your next chapter in your life. I want to make sure if you do this that you're going to be successful. And what I'm observing is with your the strategy and implementation summary, it kind of feels like it's still around 5,000 feet. You've got a concept and you've got an idea and you've got the bones of a business plan, but some things like your branding and your name and things like that, which are more kind of at the ground level, I don't see them in your plan. And I haven't really heard from you the talk about the viability of the business and studies that you might have done to support you to make sure that this is going to be successful when you invest all of your time and money. Have you done any planning beyond what you've given us?
A little bit. I mean, I've checked out other venues, just personally because of getting into like the event coordinating. I've gone to other venues and just kind of seen what they offered. Like I said, it's really hard to find a venue where you don't have to use their on-site catering. So I think that would be a great advantage in being able to do that. There's been a couple locations that I've looked at that you can take in your own catering, but their stipulations and their charges and their rates are very high. I just was at for example, a place in Fitchburg, over off the Beltline, and they're charging a very large amount of money. They're requiring cleanup. They're wanting everything cleaned up and out within an hour. So I went and kind of helped with the event and the decorating, but it was frustrating for me even to kind of sit back and think, they're charging a lot of money and they're kind of taking advantage of the clients. They, didn't cooperate with providing the tables that were in the contract that they were going to provide. And it was a second story and they're in the basement. So they wanted everybody to go in it was just kind of a mess. So I feel like just even myself and people that I know when we're going out trying to find locations for events, it's hard to do. And plus, there's not, there's lots of places like Monona Terrace, but it's very pricey and expensive. My sister-in-law got married at a hotel in Madison, but they had to use their on-site catering. And so I think that would be unique in helping us keep the venue booked because of the fact that we would allow them. Eventually, if we offer catering, we would like to be able to offer both. Like, my husband's a cook, so he's been a cook for 20 years. So eventually maybe offer the catering as an option and then give them a discounted rate for the venue if they're going to use our catering, or we charge a separate rate for the venue and they can bring in their own catering. So we'd like to tier it to actually really, make it work for the customer and make it more appealing for them to have their events there. It's scary at first not knowing if you're going to be able to. And that's why it doesn't have a name yet, because I'm trying to find a name and I'm working with somebody that I know that's in marketing, because I really want to give it a name that's appealing. I don't want to call it a ballroom because I don't feel like it's a ballroom, but turn it into a banquet hall and come up with the right way. I'm confident that we'll be able to book it. I also feel like if we can do the added areas with the playrooms and different types of parties, that would be helpful as well.
Thank you.
That's my hope.
So that's a youth soccer facility also. What's the
Yes.
separation or interaction with that, with your potential business?
I spoke with them when I did look at the building. Right now, there is no access from side A. We'll say side A and side B. There's no access. They can't come over into that side, and we couldn't come over into their side. We talked a little bit about parking issues. They said they generally use the facility during the week in the evenings. Occasionally, when they're in the peak soccer season, they're outside for tournaments. Occasionally, they would have to use the facility if the weather was bad, but most tournaments would begin early in the AM, and then they would start to trickle out in the afternoon. So I don't think that in the event that we had a date where they had an indoor tournament and we had an event going on, which would generally be in the later part of the day, we don't feel like it would be too much of a conflict. We did speak with the broker about restriping the parking lot and doing things like that just to get it kind of cleaned up a little bit
Yeah.
too. So
Okay. I think with regard to some of Jeff's comments, I think you continue to plan. I think one thing that would be helpful, at least at this level, would be a clear map of the facility
Okay.
with what would be the various areas, how they're separated and that type of thing. Keeping in mind that, we did recently deny a license to the Oregon Ice Arena where there are
Yes.
youth sports going on also. And there are some clear differences here, but there's some similarities also.
Right.
So I think we want to be sure we look at those issues going forward to be sure that we're well aware of how everything
Right.
works and how that fits together, and do we think it's going to work out okay?
And that was a concern of mine too with it, but like, I don't know if you're familiar, because I mean, a lot of people's probably been in there because it's an old gym facility, but there's a hallway that goes along the restrooms, and then there's some racquetball rooms. So that door is completely blocked from the soccer facility. I kind of considered the fact that, well, if there's kids outside and you have somebody at the wedding reception that decides they want to go out and smoke a cigarette and they're sitting out there with their beer, they set their beer down. But that was where we were kind of thinking we'd control it with the security.
Yeah.
Keeping the beverages inside, people not wandering outside with them. And also, along with the security, we plan on having either myself or my husband, or it will be more of a family style business. So if there's an event that we can't be there, we will have somebody staff-wise on site at all times, just making sure everything is controlled and running smooth, and
Yeah.
that they don't need anything or. So.
And I think all the details like that, plus more, you need to put in written forms. That goes back to the board, so it's all clear on all those types of
Okay.
things.
Yep.
And how that might work. I
Yep.
think
This
that'd
is
be
all very new to me. So.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. No, you're
But they're all
starting
very
right
good
where you
fits.
come for conceptual discussion. That's how you find out what more we might want to look at. So
Okay.
good for you. Yeah.
I know I filed the application already, so that they can post that in the.
But I think what President Staten's getting at is that, I mean, technically, the information, this is the same information you gave to the Plan Commission. I didn't
Yes.
get to the board because it really doesn't tell us.
Where the.
I mean, you need a detailed plan of here's the building, here are the rooms we're gonna use.
Okay.
And it's gotta be because if the public wants to come and look at this, if we publish it tomorrow, as of Thursday, this material should be in the front office if there's somebody to look at it.
Okay.
And so
Yep.
that's what you need. And if you're, I think you're providing more detail about you being on site and all that.
Yeah,
That really should go into your
That should go in
narrative,
there.
which you need to send to us.
Okay.
And the planning commission will want to see that also.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I
you.
don't think it'll just be like, here's the keys. No.
Yeah, and if you have questions as you prepare that, don't hesitate to call or email Mike. He'll help you out
Okay,
with
yeah,
that stuff.
he's been really helpful.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the fire inspector last week, and
Yeah, I
we
saw
were
that.
gonna go and get the architecture plans from the broker, and then get the inspection done too, so we would at least know what kind of capacity we're looking at as well.
Good.
So,
Anything else from trustees? Anyone? Anything else, Ann Crystal?
no, I don't think so.
Well, thank you for coming before us with your conceptual ideas,
All
and
right.
you did a nice job of presenting that, so
Thank
keep
you.
working going forward.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good night.
So item C is discussion regarding new business and business park.
Brad's here. Yep.
That'd be me.
Hi, Brad.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing?
We're doing.
Good.
So, yeah, I guess I know a bunch of you guys, not everybody. So I don't know, for the people that don't know me, I've been here my whole life, 26 years, never lived anywhere else. Probably longer than some people here, I guess. So what I do currently, I got a truck shop in the township of Brooklyn. So the Brooklyn town board meetings were a little less intimidating. There's just one table. So got a conditional use permit to work down there. Problem with our conditional use permit in the town of Brooklyn, I can only have 4 employees, including myself. Well, we've already maxed that out. Can only have 15 vehicles there during the day, which that sounds like a lot, but when you have 4 employees, you have a couple vehicles of your own, because we also have a snow plowing business as well. But then to keep 4 employees busy, I mean, if they work on a minimum of 2 vehicles a day, I mean, that's another 8 vehicles right there too. So 15 sounds like a lot, but it adds up really quick. So that's a problem that we have. The other problem is our current building does not meet state building inspection codes. it's a whole pile of money to fix it, so I figured, well, this might be a good opportunity to move out of the cornfield that we're in into an actual industrial park. Because down there, I mean, we've been busy and business has been good, but we're still 15 minutes from Oregon, which is 15 minutes from Madison, so Madison's all of a sudden a 1 hour round trip, which can be kind of a pain sometimes. So we'd like to move into Oregon. We've also been working with the Village of Brooklyn too with their industrial park. They've been really receptive of the idea, and I don't know if you guys know anything about their park, but they're trying to get people in there pretty bad. So we would be, I mean, potentially the second business going in down there. It sounds like they might have somebody going in currently. But we'd like to be in Oregon. I think paying extra to be in the Village of Oregon will be better in the long run. So now some concerns that we have with the property in Oregon is, well, I don't know if you guys know where it is, but it's on the corner of Cusick and Otherwood. We came to the board about a year ago. Actually, I never did, but Marty Verhelst did. And he talked with you guys about it, and it ultimately didn't go through. Well, I think it went through with you guys conceptually, but we had to back out of that project. So now we're back at it again. So this time it's going to be a lot smaller, probably 5,000 to 8,000 square foot tops. Probably more of the 5 to 6 range, I would guess. Gonna, fix commercial motor vehicles there. I don't want to compete with other shops in town, because there's probably at least half a dozen car repair shops in town. We don't need any more of those. We focus on trucks and equipment. So everything from pickup trucks to Class 8 over-the-road stuff. And our competition on this side of town is next to nothing. The only other place on the west side of Madison would be Kaiser Ford on the Beltline. And so I think there's a hole that we need to fill. Otherwise, they're going to the east side up by where Greg is and up over there. So I think there's a hole for the west side of Madison and definitely the Village of Oregon. We pull a lot of customers out of Middleton, Verona, Cross Plains, surprisingly Cross Plains. So a lot of stuff from the west side, which kind of goes along with why I think we'd be a good fit in this part of this side of Madison. Because otherwise you are going up to the interstate, up to the northeast side of Madison. That's where all your truck shops are. Of course, like we were going to do with Marty, build something that everybody can be proud of, look nice. And as far as outside storage, we'd like to keep that to a minimum, but obviously we have to have something. Sometimes you have to park trucks outside. So we'd like to have a gated area, and then we can cover that with, you guys have seen that green stuff so you can't see through it. So that it looks nice. We've been working with Pat Lyons. He's been really helpful so far. But now the concern with that property is it's really low. And it's near that swamp and the water retention pond. So we think there might be some water issues. I don't know an exact cost on what it'll cost to fix it, to build it up. But I did get a quote from Parisi Construction, which is just ridiculous, $350,000. I gave that to my architect, and it's Jeff Grenier, and he kind of chuckled at that. So I think we can do something a lot cheaper. I'm hoping that the site work will be to $50,000 to $100,000 range, but I don't know until we get an exact site plan narrowed down. So I'm going to ask the village, since there's no more TIF assistance, is if there is any type of assistance that we can get. And what I would like to see is if the village would help out with the site improvements. Because I think if we can get the site improvements where the grade built up to where that needs to be, I think we could have a pretty viable project. But without it, we'll be going to Brooklyn, I'm sure. So, because the Brooklyn site it's ready to go. All we have to do is build a building and go. So, and they sold land at $5,000 an acre to the most recent person. So it's a good option, but I think I would rather be in the Village of Oregon. So that's kind of what we're here to ask for, just gauge interest of the village and see if it's a possibility. So.
Okay, well, I'll start off. I can tell you I'm interested,
Okay.
and that's because I've known you for a long time. I know the quality of person and business person you are, and you'd be great to have in Oregon, I think. So, we typically have operated with TIF assistance, which is not available now, so
Yep.
we have to talk about how that happened, to get more specifics on what the cost would actually be and why it's necessary and stuff like that. So, with that said, I'll open it to other people for questions or comments.
Would it be on the basis of a but-for argument?
The expenditure period for TIF is over, so this is, when I was talking to Brad over the last month, I said this is very unusual. We've always had a TIF open somewhere where we do the but-for test, Doug, but, so this, if the board wanted to do something, it would be an economic development grant. And so you could still use the same approach. You could do the same analysis to say, if the village doesn't provide the money, the project can't go forward. But legally, you wouldn't have to do that because it's not going to be TIF money that you give them.
Yeah, we would choose what the standards are and see what we could do with what Brad might ask.
You're still going to, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You're still going to have to show the public purpose
Yes.
of it, but which is,
Yeah, we can't just do it as a gift.
Who owns the land right now?
Lycon.
And what does Lycon say? Have you approached Lycon to ask them if they'd be willing to improve the land as part of the sale?
No, he's not really willing to improve the land, but he's willing to help me out on the purchase of the land. He's offered, I don't want to say too much because it hasn't gone through anything yet, and but he's even offered some type of land contract kind of deal too, so we can try and get things rolling. He's actually been really good to work with, but it doesn't sound like he's interested in building up the land. And I don't know how far it has to come up. I think that's what Jeff is working on right now. So there's a big question mark as to how much it's going to be. That $350,000 that Parisi quoted is based off of the building from a year ago, which was a huge building. Based off of that, and building it up to the elevation of the road, which was I think 4 feet. So that's a lot of dirt. But what I envision is something about half that size to maybe 3/4, and just kind of work on it as we go. If we have to add on, then we'll deal with that later. But what I need to do is get something up and running for next summer, really. Because that's the other part of my problem with Greene County. They kind of got us on a timeline before we meet all of their requirements with the building. So I have a meeting scheduled with them for sometime in January with their Board of Adjusters as far as our building improvements that we need to do. But I talked to them about that we might potentially be moving to an industrial park, so they're pushing that off for us so we can get things approved elsewhere. So they've been good to work with too. So they gave me till January 1st to let them know what I think we're going to do. But they said that if we're making obvious headway, they'll extend that as needed too. So if we're coming close to something or we've made at least some headway, I can let them know and they might extend it to February or whatever. Okay. So,
are there other questions for Brad at this time? Jerry?
Brad, what figure did you say you were looking for assistance?
Well, since I don't know exactly what it's going to be, I'm going to ask for 150, but I think it's going to be a lot lower than that. I think it's going to be 50 to 100. That's what I think it's going to be. As far as the site improvement that's going to need to be done.
Okay.
So.
So you're going to get more concrete figures, right, on what it would
I'm gonna
actually be?
get more
'Cause we would-
concrete
we would have
figures.
to have that in order to act.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I understand that too. I just
Sure.
wanted to come here to see if it was something the village was interested
Yeah.
in. And if, I don't want it to be 150,000 because I think that's a big chunk of change too. My
Yeah.
total project goal is around 500,000.
Okay.
I think in Brooklyn we can do it for 300, or even less down there. But I think if in Oregon, if the total project is 500,000, I think we can do it. So.
Okay. So what Brad needs to know, if we're interested in hearing more going forward, indicated I certainly am. Are we,
I am.
Yeah.
anybody who's not? Okay.
Yes.
So does that give you what you need?
Gives me what I need.
Good, go for it.
Alrighty.
Thanks, good luck.
Yep. Thank you.
We'll look forward to hearing from you again.
Yeah. I guess. Well, I'll get in touch with you to schedule.
Yep.
Next time.
Sure.
All right.
Yep.
Cool. Alrighty.
Thanks,
thank
Brad.
you.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Okay, item 5 is a 2016 village budget. I would like to open the public hearing, and we will get an overview of the 2016 village budget. We'll have an update on the senior senate budget vote by participating communities, and we'll have staff start in just a minute. But first, I would ask Mr. Bollig, Chair of Finance, to make some comments for the board, please.
Thanks, Mr. President. First of all, I'm very pleased with this budget. I want to thank the staff and all the employees who had input in this budget, because I think it's a very realistic and very complete budget. I feel it is realistic because it maintains all the village services, and it has a realistic representation of the 2016 revenues and expenses. It continues to fund debt service, it maintains our important fund balance, and it provides not only that, but it has some raises for the employees, something that hasn't happened in a while. In short, I think it maintains the excellent quality of life that we have down here in Oregon. And last but not least, it has a mill rate of, is it 2.93%, Mike?
Well, that'd be the increase.
That'd be the increase in the taxes. So again, I'll thank the staff, the employees, and actually the board put a lot of time in this budget too,
absolutely.
in the board hearings. So thanks for your role in producing this excellent and realistic budget.
Yes, I asked Mr. Bollig to make those comments because he always speaks right up and says it better than I do, so I thought I'd let him start off. But again, our department heads are all over here on our right, and we appreciate the nice job you do of preparing our budget and bringing a good budget to us. It makes our job a lot easier, so thanks, everyone, for what you did. It is appreciated.
Thanks, Steve.
So you're up, Mike.
Okay, take a few minutes here to go through this. So, as Jerry said, I want to thank the board and the department heads, and particularly Lisa, for their hard work on the budget this year. We had 3 budget meetings, including the joint meeting with the park board in October. And Jerry was referring to the tax levy and tax rate sheet that Lisa's going to review. Yep, thank you.
So this is the final tax levy worksheet. As you can see, comparing budget year 15 to budget year 16, with our budget year 16 general fund amount that we are going to levy, it maintains our ability to qualify for the expenditure restraint program in 2017. The sick leave fund, that is for a retiree for his health insurance for next year. That's what we'll be levying for that. We maintain our debt service. There was an increase there. And also we are having the ability to add $30,000 to the equipment fund, so we'll have to borrow less in 2016 to pay for some of the smaller purchases in our equipment fund. So if you notice the difference between the mill rate from 15 to 16, it's a 0.64% increase. Does anybody have any questions about it?
Thank you.
So just a few things I wanted to bring to the village residents watching this, that and Jerry sort of touched on this, that and we feel the budget's going to allow us to address a number of major projects and issues, and I list them here. We're going to do North Baroque from Jefferson Street to Baptist Creek. If you've driven on that street, that road needs to get redone. We may do the joint project with with the county on Jefferson Street or work on Elm and South Main. We'll see what happens over the next couple months. As part of the extension of Perry Parkway in 2017, we're going to be identifying a new location for the Yardway site, and we'll actually be talking about that next Monday at the Public Works meeting. We're going to start planning for the first phase of the bike trail along Baptist Creek from the West Side Park to North Baroque. This would be the one that would go to the DiMaggio Park that was created recently. We're increasing mill and overlays somewhat. We're increasing crack fillings a little bit and also chip sealing. We're upgrading, we're doing an upgrade to the village's webpage. We're adding the on-officer cameras. We're purchasing a jetvac, and we're providing the funding along with other communities for the 2 full-time firefighters in the district. As Lisa mentioned, this budget's going to allow us to qualify for expenditure restraint payment in 2017, which means that the general fund revenues and expenditures are going up 1.5% next year, which is pretty small. Share revenue was decreased slightly. The big thing that hit our budget, we talked about this back in early October, was the hit that we got in highway aids that everyone got or received. Lisa went to a meeting with other treasurers back in, it was October, I think? Yeah. And everyone was getting hit by this from the state, so that was a little bit of a shocker for us, and we were able to manage that. The next thing is a list that Lisa and I always put together that lists the changes from when the board adopted the preliminary budget to this evening, and you just hit a few highlights here.
Right. There were a number of changes that have been made since the preliminary budget came out. A lot of them were pretty small changes that happened. One of the larger ones is the ability to put the $30,000 into the capital equipment fund. And then also, I think it was last week, we were notified by Department of Revenue, was it, for the, they decreased our assessed value by $328,000. So that was one of the adjustments back on that I didn't point out, back on the TEVI, or the tax levy sheet. If you look at the assessed value, it, for 2016, when we initially had started this, it was, when we got the final number, it was $328,000 more. So that did affect the increase for the average home.
Yeah, we think it was personal property, but there's an exemption, we think, under state law that we were made aware of until recently for this tower.
This K2 Towers LLC business that is, it's part of the telco grouping, which is not.
I think it's an exemption.
Yeah, it's an exemption for the local municipality. So that was something we had to adjust for. So that was one of the major adjustments. But otherwise, everything else was pretty small. When you look at the numbers, a few $1,000s here. There was another employee at the library that took health insurance, so that was another $5,000 increase that we had to adjust for. But does anybody have any questions about any of the changes that happened from preliminary to the final?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And just the last comment I had is, as we say every year, we make these 2 comments. You know, the buildings are getting older, and we're having to do more maintenance on them, and so we had to do some adjustments to the budget to cover those increases. And then something that we started way back in '04, Jerry kind of touched on a little bit, is that we are not using any fund balance to balance the ongoing operations in the budget. So it helps us every time we go out to borrow. It's a great thing that we've accomplished over the years. So we are pleased to present the budget for the board's consideration.
Thank you. Is anyone in the public who would like to speak to the budget? Seeing none, anything else from trustees? I will close the public hearing. We will go to item D, discussion of possible action regarding adopting resolution number 15-21, tax levy and 2016 budget. Any motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any question or discussion?
Steve, can I just mention one thing?
Yeah.
About the senior center budget?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Forgot that.
So the towns of Rutland and Oregon voted for it, so that was the two that we needed. And I think, if I read the paper, I think Brooklyn, I think it was a tie vote, but at this point, it was thinking. So, but it's passed, so the budget's in effect for the senior center.
Okay, thanks. So we do roll call on this?
Nope. Yeah, if you want to, for the record, if you want to.
Sure, let's go ahead.
I got one question.
Yeah, go.
Mike, you did check with Matt, and it is okay?
Yes,
that I
you
vote
voted
on
last
this?
year, yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
Ready?
Yep.
Carpenter,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Staton,
Yes.
Brett Howard,
Yes.
Boudreaux,
Yes.
Grenier,
Yes.
Pollock,
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries 7-0. We have completed that budget, and again, thanks to everyone on both sides of it.
See you next year.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep. Well, you can actually start working on it next year.
We're gonna start in May, that's at least I've been talking about.
You know, all kidding aside, you know, there is a year-round process.
Yeah.
Because we're constantly, and I know Lisa does this all the time, you're looking at current revenues and current expenditures, and you're adjusting. And that's, later on, we've got a transfer that's a result of some of the
Yeah.
adjustments, you know.
No, we're gonna start a little bit earlier and do a couple things differently next year. No big deal, just some internal things.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay, we'll go to item 6, approve.
Excuse
Yeah,
myself.
okay,
Thanks all.
thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Approval of minutes, item A, special joint meeting of Village Board and Library Board from April 13th, 2015.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
thank you. Any additions or corrections? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 7, approval of vouchers. We have vouchers tonight in the amount of $131,241.69 for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Staton,
Yes.
Grenier,
Yes.
Brett Howard,
Yes.
Carpenter,
Yes.
Pollock,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Item 8 is community input. Anyone who would like to address the board at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to jump around a little bit.
Yep, I was gonna
from the
suggest
audience,
that.
Mr.
Yep.
Pollock. So, Mr. Lees, you're here for just the one resolution on Thompson Drive, right? Yes. Okay, we're going to do that right now. Is that all right? Okay. Thought you'd like that. So that's under item 10, communication and miscellaneous business. Item C, discussion and possible action, resolution number 15-23, street opening and stop signs on Thompson Drive.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Got it. Yeah. It's looking nice over there. Thanks.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Good job.
Nice new road.
I'm gonna do fine.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, that's a good idea. Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna do, now go to number 11, B, Finance Building and Facilities Committee meeting from November 9th, 2015. Mr. Bollig has to leave for a county meeting on their budget, so we'll let him do the work here instead of me.
Thank you, President Staton.
My pleasure.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 15-20, terminating the property insurance coverage with the local government property insurance fund, and approving the 2016 municipal property insurance company proposal of $26,464. That's a mouthful.
Yeah,
I'll second that motion.
thank you.
Yeah, statute changes caused our premium with the property insurance coverage through the state to from $37,303. Our premium in 2016 was $21,738. So it was a considerable jump. So we chose to withdraw and go to what agency?
It's through the League of Wisconsin.
Yeah. But anyway, we saved about $11,000 by making this step.
Good, thank you. Any questions or comments? So we have that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2.
I make a motion to approve the agreement with Accurate Appraisal in the amount of $31,500 annually, contingent upon village attorney's approval.
Second.
Thank you.
Mike, I believe we're very happy with Accurate, so we decided to to renew their.
Right, and the only
contract.
thing that we're doing based on Matt's approval, Peggy and I want to make sure that what's in the agreement as far as them having to return files to us, if some reason we terminate our services, is very, very clear. So Matt is giving us some possible new wording, which we'll insert into the contract.
Okay.
So that will be coming back to the board.
No, if you can make, you have the vote tonight, and then Matt will give that to us, and we'll insert it into the contract.
Sounds fine.
Yep.
Any questions or comments? So we have motion and second to approve the agreement with Accurate Appraisal in amount of $31,500 annually, contingent upon village attorney's approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, please.
I'll make a motion to send the committee recommendations regarding the dumpster agreement as is, without any changes.
Second.
We've got 4 local businesses that co-rent a dumpster in the lot behind Main Street there, or South Main Street.
South Main,
And,
yep.
we, I believe we've got tentative okays from them that they're gonna renew, correct?
No, we haven't sent this out yet.
Oh, okay.
So it went to committee, and then out to the board, and then Joy will send it out tomorrow, and we'll see.
So hopefully they'll all renew.
Yep.
And we'll move forward with that.
Okay. Any questions? We have a motion second to send the dumpster agreement without any changes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion changes. Item 4, please.
I'll make a motion to authorize village staff to prepare a new purchasing agreement.
Second.
The current agreement, the copy that I have looks like it came off a mimeograph machine.
Pretty close.
And so it's very old, and it's going to be updated by staff and then returned to the board for approval.
Will you likely change some of the values that are listed there?
Well, some of it has to be changed per state law. And then if we have, some suggestions, if we think we should raise them or lower them, we'll bring it to finance for discussion.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5.
I make a motion to approve the proposal from Zires Insulation in the amount of $10,835 for insulating the police department building.
Second.
There were 3 bids solicited, or 3 bidders responded to the RFP. 1 bid was incomplete. The other 2 bids competed against each other, and Zires had the low bid of $10,835. And it's a much-needed project. I think the chief will agree with me.
Very much so, yes.
Yes. And they found a few loose wire up in the attic, right?
Yeah. Just out and exposed, right on
Yeah.
top of the unit.
So-
So little insulation is there.
Great.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6.
I'd like to make a motion to increase the amount for purchase order requisitions from $500 to $1,000.
Second.
Thank you.
This will just speed up the time that staff can respond to needed purchases. These changes will still, these purchases will still have to be approved by the board.
Correct.
But we're just giving them more authority to act quicker.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.
I'd like to make a motion to have Hawkins Ash CPAs prepare new federally required 1095s, 1094s for the Affordable Care Act in the amount of $1,000.
Second.
Thank you.
I think I'm gonna let our clerk respond to this.
Due to federal requirements, we are required to report that we have offered health insurance for employees, and this is part of that process.
Okay.
So, this is the first time we're going through it, and using Hawkins, I think, is a good idea to help us through that process.
Sure.
Thank you.
Are there questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.
My final motion is to approve budget transfer number 3, which requires a 2/3 vote of all elected trustees, and 5 members must vote. I see we have 6, so we're in the clear here.
Second.
Lisa, would you like to tell us about budget transfer number 3? It's a little convoluted for me to explain.
Okay, so this was a prior budget amendment that we had requested, and now we're asking that it be reversed. The main reason for this is because of the TIF incentive that we're going to be paying out in TIF 4. We thought that that would be a better use of the funds, is to fund that TIF incentive with that instead of transferring this to the street and the equipment funds. Because that money that will be used for the TIF incentive is going to generate interest income in a higher amount than anything I can get in any kind of CD if we were to invest it in any kind of CD. So it just made more sense to reverse this and use that money for different means than what we had intended it for initially.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? So a motion second to approve budget transfer number 3. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Bowley.
You're welcome.
Takes us back to item 9, proclamations and announcements. Board comments?
I have a couple. Just last Saturday, we put up the holiday lights here in Oregon, and I want to thank all the people that came to help us. Also, I would like to thank the Public Works Department, and they always help bring down the lights, and we put the light bulbs in on Thursday. Also, the Public Works for the work they've been doing and picking up all the leaves. Our street got picked up today, and they also cleaned along the gutters. I just think they're doing a very good job because we have a lot of leaves this year.
Great, thank you very much. I will let them know.
And thanks, Darlene, for your work on those lights. You've done that a long time and good leadership. We appreciate that. And Jeff, I've heard a number of comments about leaf pickup also and how well that's going. So
Thank you.
That's
I'll
good.
let them know.
And a couple comments about the calendar schedule on our website that is beneficial to people to know when they'll get back, because they always worry about that. Will my leaves get picked up?
Yep.
I used to worry about that too. Mark told me not to, so I quit. He said it's okay if they're there all winter. It'll be all right. And I would like to make a comment also. I was at the Veterans Day ceremony on Wednesday downtown, and it just really brings right to the forefront the great debt of gratitude that we owe to all of our veterans, especially those who are aging that were in World War II, and how they preserved our freedom and democracy. And that's even more meaningful to me now on the beaches of Normandy about a year ago. And if you're ever there, it's a very moving experience and creates a great sense of appreciation for what has happened. Any other board comments?
I've got one.
Yeah.
I had a couple people talk to me about the bike trail, and I don't know if this would be a Public Works or a Police Department issue, but apparently when you get closer to the pond out on Fish Hatchery Road, they're allowing duck hunting out there. And numerous people have said that they've seen people walking down the trails with shotguns, and it kind of scares them a little bit. So I don't know if there's a sign that we can put up that says, you know, hunting is allowed in this area or something like that, but they made that comment to me. I don't know what your comments are.
Yeah, we've discussed this a little bit. Actually, there are public hunting areas back there, and that's kind of part of, if you've ever been on, like, I think it's the Capital City Trail between, is it Syene Road and Fish Hatchery Road. Right. It's not uncommon to find people walking along there with shotguns to get to the public hunting ground back there. So we've discussed it, we've talked about, we're not going to be signing that or not planning to sign that, as a no hunting area or anything like that, because we really don't have jurisdiction over that.
Yeah. I just didn't know if there's something we could put up to let the bikers know.
Please don't shoot the bikers.
Yeah, just be prepared.
It's funny.
There could be people out here or something. I don't know.
Well, we could do. It's for us to put signs up. We have to get permission from Fish and Wildlife because it'd have to go on their property.
Okay.
And Jeff and I can talk about the other thing we do. We could just put something out on Facebook, just making people aware of that.
Okay.
I can ask Candy to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
I know that when Jeff's right, when on the Capital City Trail, this was a big deal initially when the trail opened, and then after a while, no one even, well, I don't believe anyone even talks about it anymore.
Okay.
You see the hunters, and you wave to them as you ride by. It's really not. Yeah. Okay. But we can kind of try to get the word out.
I'd just like the community to know that you can open carry firearms basically anywhere. So they could be walking up and down the street with a firearm, and we couldn't do anything about it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. You're right, Brian. Thank you.
And there was one duck hunter who was happy the trail was opening because it gives him better access to where he wants to hunt than going in from Highway M. It's much easier and quicker, so that will happen, but there will be some signs.
There
going.
will be some signs along certain portions of the trail. We're working with one family that was part of the original agreement that will actually have no hunting, no trespassing signs marking off the trail. And we will be signing other things. I know there's been problems with dogs off leash at times, so we'll be signing that as well.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. And those signs will be going up very soon.
And we got permission from Fish and Wildlife to put those types of signs up.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, they, like I
Thanks,
said, they were
Eric.
just
Yeah, no, I
really
understand.
shocked when they
I understand.
came upon us and people are walking with shotguns, and it's like, so.
I understand.
Anything else from board members? Okay, so we'll go to staff comments. Item 1, Mr. Grace.
I think we have a winner. I think we have December 14th as the meeting with the board and the planning commission, so. And we are thinking of actually serving a late dinner. So everyone,
But it'll be here for sure.
well, that's a good, thank you, Eric. You know my strategy. So I think it'd be kind of nice, but it may be somewhat of a long night to go through the sign
Yeah.
ordinance, right, Jeff?
Huh?
Kind of a long meeting, sign ordinance.
Is that night? Yes. You will need more than a light dinner. We'll have to have dessert as well.
Oh, we'll have that too.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, so, yeah, more cookies right there.
You're gonna need a lot more cookies than that.
Yeah,
Yes.
really. So we'll please keep that in your calendar. And then I did put some 16 meeting dates. I know this is far off, but we're trying to come up with a date, and so that'd be the first meeting in February, where we'd have the architect come and give his report to the board on the space needs study, and then Mike Slavny will be here to talk about, that'll be the midpoint of the civic campus plan. And the only thing that would affect having that is Mike has a conflict. Mike's got to be here for that meeting, so. And then Lisa and I have been talking to Jim Mann, and we'd like to bring him on March 7th to talk about updating the financial plan and future debt service. We'll be getting to the point where we'll be going out to borrow for 2016 projects, and we're going to want Jim to talk about that borrowing and then the future borrowing for the buildings and things like that. So we thought it'd be kind of a good time to do that in March, so.
Okay.
That'd be quite timely with the civic campus plan.
Yep,
coming
right,
up. We
yep.
can, we can peer into the future and
Exactly.
kind of imagine how much
Yep.
we can afford to
Right,
borrow
exactly the point. Yep.
with his help.
Okay. And Item 3, leaf collection is ongoing until it's done or it snows and we can't.
That is correct, actually, and we are at the peak this last week and this week are really at the peak of the leaf collection. We are getting some phone calls from some residents saying it's been a couple weeks. With our one leaf picker, or leaf sucker, it is very labor intensive. It does take a lot of time. The piles are very thick and very big, and so it can take us up to 3 weeks to get through the entire village. So we've asked for patience from people, and people have been very, very good. Our complaints are very few. Mostly it's people calling to say thank you and appreciate that it's being done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. So item 10, communication, miscellaneous business, discussion possible action regarding approving resolution number 15-22, amending village's sick leave conversion plan.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Anything from staff on this?
This is, affects the ongoing restructuring a little bit of the police department staffing there.
Questions or comments over here? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item B, follow-up item, question regarding backup cameras on public works trucks.
Yes. We're actually outfitting 2 trucks, 2 of the older trucks. These are the plow trucks. So the newer vehicles have these backup cameras, and we've had on other vehicles as well. I want to stress these are on the plow trucks and why that is so important. A lot of the plows are obviously, when they get to the end of the street, are having to turn around, or if they're having to turn around, aids helps them in the dark, in snowstorms and everything like that, to make sure they're not anywhere near any kids, any vehicles, parked vehicles, or whatever, mailboxes. So what we've actually seen, 2 sets of invoices. I talked to Gary about that today. Basically, it's about $750 per vehicle to outfit with the backup camera system. And so that's what we've seen on that. I think it's a good investment when you think of $750 is a fairly cheap repair versus having to repair someone's vehicle or heaven forbid someone get really hurt.
Any questions or comments? We have done item 10C. But item D, discussion possible action declaring 2 calculators in the clerk's office as surplus.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, Oregon Area Fire EMS District Monthly Report for October. Any questions here or anything from any staff?
As I say, this is a report that Jack promises to
Yeah.
send to us. We were at the July meeting, and I thought it was really helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really well done.
No, I think it's great information.
Yeah.
Again, it illustrates exactly how busy that department is.
Particularly the EMS calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, 629 year-to-date.
Yeah.
Yep. And I had no idea there were that
Yep.
much, that much EMS activity in the village.
I'm going to thank him when I see him.
Invite him.
I need to make a comment too. The fire EMS also, we delivered the shooting stars to their department, and they're going to put them up, and they've been always very helpful to us too.
Anything else? Okay, we'll go to item F, discussion possible action, consent to, Ashley Brynelson's representation of Walgreens on a limited case against Wisconsin DOT.
This is the attorney that met with, this is Lori who wants to do a little small job with the,
This is regarding their assessment, is that?
I'm not sure what the item is, but they would need to,
All right,
have the board waive it.
okay.
So we need a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item G, discussion possible action regarding appointing Chloe Francis Stoddard as student member on the planning commission. It's actually Chloe, C-H-L-O-E.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Sorry, Ms. Bill.
And I would say there's another one coming up, another student in just a second. I met with both the girls at the high school, talked with them, had a nice conversation, answered questions, and they both kind of chose where they'd like to be in it, so it worked out well as far as what they wanted. So Chloe chose planning, and Jeannie's on planning, will serve as her mentor like Doug recommended we have. I think it's a great idea, and I think we'll probably end up sitting right beside her at meetings. So if we can keep Chairman Schnelly in order, we'll be okay. So any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item H, discussion of possible action appointing Eva Scythe as an alternate student member on the park board.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And I explained that as an alternate, she wouldn't vote unless the regular person wasn't there. She was fine with that. She felt that's where she would best enjoy and get experience. So that's what she chose to do. So, and I think Bill Leivik is planning on possibly an article in May interviewing these girls and talking about the experience. I think we're stepping up the benefit of this for the students. So, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item I, discussion and possible action approving real estate agreement with Lutheran Church Extension Fund, Missouri Synod for the purchase of 1.794 acres for a new well site in the amount of $100,000. Water impact fees will pay for the purchase of the property, which will have to be annexed into the village.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Anything to be said about this other than what's right there?
That's what it is, yeah.
That's what it is.
How did they arrive at the price? Did we have an appraisal, or did they have an appraisal, or?
We took their value of $61,000 an acre.
Okay.
Anything else?
So
All in favor?
where is it?
I'm sorry.
Where is that located?
If you look, there's a map on there, Darlene. It's probably easier to show
It's
you.
right out near the Presbyterian Church. If you go up to the end of
Bergamot
Bergamot
Boulevard. Yeah.
Bergamot Boulevard, there's the Presbyterian Church on the right, and if you will continue the road, it stops right at the fields, and that's exactly where the parcel would begin.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And this is part of a regional study that was already done, our well site study. We've already had the well site study done several years ago. It's already on the DNR rolls, so just need to have the spot.
Okay. Anything else? So we have a motion second for purchase of the land for the new well site, amount of $100,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll then go back to 11, report of committees, and item A is a park board meeting from November 4th, 2015. Trustee Brett Hauer.
Okay, the recommended motion is that village staff enter into discussions with the Hermson family about incorporating some non-conservancy space as part of the proposed conservancy park. It's further recommended that the village staff and the Hermson family discuss mutually advantageous agreement that would improve and maintain the conservancy.
So I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Comments on this?
Well, I've heard of this, that the park board did this, and so I'm thinking about this a little bit. So we've asked Mike Slavny to give us a proposal to, for a couple of things, to update the outdoor plan that we need to have updated. It's expiring. If we decide to apply for a stewardship grant, for example, we have to do that. In that proposal, we're also asking him to give us a estimate what it costs to look at our fees. Because one of the things that we're looking at, and Cross Plains does this, for example, is they actually, when you annex into the village, Cross Plains, they have a fee that strictly goes to conservancy parks. And so, what we're anticipating is that if we could do that type of fee, that as property got annexed, that fee would then help pay for maintaining this conservancy if the village creates this park. Because that's as you remember with that meeting here with the park board, they're really concerned that this would take away from the active playing fields, the money. So I think we need to find a different revenue source if we can to pay for that. And then the third part of the proposal from Mike will be, because Mike has our comprehensive plan memorized, I just thought was easy to do. I said, Mike, Stephanie, I said, you tell us where you think we could locate some active playing fields, in our planning area, that it would be incorporated into the future part of the village at some point. So I think rather than just worrying about, I'm not saying the park board recommendation isn't good, but we shouldn't just be focusing on this conservancy park, because the park board has this concern that we're going to be taking money away from looking at active playing fields. And so I think we need to be looking at both things, and I think Mike's proposal will help us do that. And it's good time, because that all should go into the outdoor plan that gets updated.
Yeah.
So we'll communicate this to the family. Most likely, I would say that the anything to do with any active playing fields on their property, they'll say no. But we can get their opinion on that.
Yeah.
And they have no interest in helping maintain the park once it's provided to us. They sort of said that in an email back to us in October, but I will certainly forward this to them and get their reaction.
Okay.
And when I've talked to Matt about this, I mean, we would put together an agreement between us and the family if we decide to do this. And there'd be at least some agreement in that. And again, who knows when we actually take the property? It could be many years in the future, which will allow us to then, as we annex property, to be charging this conservancy fee to start building up the fund to take care of the park. But we will forward this to the family.
Staff is okay with the motion, because it involves discussion?
Yeah, I mean,
Doesn't want to say anything.
I'll send it to them, but I know that particularly on the second one, they have already said that they don't want to participate in maintaining the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay. I'll send it to them, and it comes as a recommendation from the park board, so.
Just to add, the park board knew that, that there would be possible rejection of the idea, but they wanted to see where it would go regardless.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Doug.
But I think their aim is the correct aim, is that the concern, their issue of how do we maintain if we take it as a conservancy park, and number two, making sure that the focus doesn't get away from also adding additional active playing fields. So I think by updating the outdoor plan and having a comprehensive approach with it, I think we can do all that.
Yeah.
Very good.
So.
Any questions, comments? So we have a motion about the Hermson Conservancy Park. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All the other items are done earlier. So we are on item 12, is minutes not requiring action, there are none. Item 13, unfinished business, there is none. Item 14, new business. Item A, approval of pending new operator licenses. These have been approved by the Police Department at Quick Trip, Tabitha Beckwith, and Oregon Bowl, Bradley Franklin. So we need a motion second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to item 16, a motion and a second for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.